Hare Krishna, Namaste. Recently, we went to the St. Louis Arch and was surprised to see that they have completely remodeled the entire ground level. During this few hours of visit, we observed few things which I thought may be of interest to this audience. The observation is connecting what we saw there with our learnings through Bhagavad Gita. The first thing we noticed as we entered into the ticketing area was to meet a family whom we know. We greeted each other, spoke for a few minutes, then we went on our own plans. A question came in mind: when we go back to the spiritual world, do we get a chance to meet our old family members? Father, mother, brother, sister, grandfather, great-grandfather, ancestors, if they were liberated too? And can we greet them there? Answer to this question is, as a liberated soul, Muktatma, in the spiritual world, we will be fully and completely absorbed, busy in serving the Lord. That Supreme Lord will be our focal point. We will not get distracted again by those family members. And even those family members will not distract us in our service, because they will be busy fully in serving the Lord. So the direct answer is, if we so desire to meet and greet our family members in the spiritual world, it is certainly possible, because in our liberated state in the spiritual world, our jnana, knowledge, has no limits, no boundary. It knows everything. If a Muktatma wanted to see its Pitru, one of the forefather, who is in a different loka, that Muktatma, through his jnana, through its sankalpa, can transfer that particular forefather to the entrance of the spiritual world, not inside the spiritual world, but outside the spiritual world, and can meet and greet them, and then transfer them back to wherever they belong to. But no Muktatma will do such things in first place. Their attraction to the Lord will never distract them from such material family attachments. So the answer is yes. If they wish, they can recognize the family members if the family members were also liberated. If they wish, they can even transfer those family members from Pitraloka or any lokas near the entrance of the Vaikuntha, greet them and send them back. But no Muktatma will get engaged in such activities. This is what came in mind when we met that particular family in the arch. The second observation is, in the ground level on both sides there are entrances. One is north side entrance to the top of the arch, and there's a south side entrance. One can choose either one, but it takes to the same destination irrespective of which one we choose. There were people appointed to make sure we have the right ticket to enter these north and south points. We can't use the theater, the movie ticket, to enter into the right to the top. Similarly, in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna in the 8th chapter mentions two marga, two paths to go to the top. When a Jivatma departs from its body, there are two entrances through which the Atma travels to the next destination. One is called Archaradi Marga and the other one is called Dhumadi Marga. The Archaradi Marga takes one to the place where we don't have to return into this material world, that is Sri Vaikuntha. And the other Marga, which is Dhumadi Marga, is the entrance that takes us to a place where we have to come back again after spending some time over there. That is, once our karma credit points gets over, after we enjoy our time over there, then we will be pushed back into this material world to take birth again. So the major difference between this arch entrance, north point and south point, and Dhumadi Marga and Archaradi Marga is north entrance and south entrance of the arch takes one to the top and then in the same path brings them back to the ground. Whereas those who go through the Archaradi Marga will never have to return back into this world. It is one-way path, one-way ticket. Whereas the Dhumadi Marga is definitely a two-way path. It will bring us back to the ground. That is, back to the earth. Dhumadi Marga is where one goes to heaven. Archaradi Marga is where one goes to the spiritual world, Sri Vaikunta. Those who go to Vaikunta never comes back again to take birth in this world. Those who go to heavenly planet must come back again into this world because they still have leftover karmas. In the other case, there is no more karma for the Jivatma who reaches the spiritual world to come back into this world. Those who practice Bhakti Yoga or perform Sharanagati will take the Archaradi Marga, whereas those who have not performed so have to take the Dhumadi Marga. Another interesting point about these two entrances is they both take to the same destination point, to the top of the arch. Likewise, those who travel through Archaradi Marga and Dhumadi Marga meet at a junction, a same junction, before they can proceed further in their path. That junction is Chandraloka. Whether one is going to the Vaikunta or if one is going to Swargaloka, the junction for both is Chandraloka. Whereas as we enter north or south entrance to get to the top is the junction. There's nothing beyond that point. Whereas the junction point for both the Dhumadi Marga and Archaradi Marga is Chandraloka. But that is not the end. And the journey continues after that to their respective places. In Chandraloka, those who are going to Vaikunta comes there. Those who are going to heavenly planet comes there. And those who are returning from heavenly planet comes there. So the traffic in Chandraloka is pretty heavy. Therefore, there will be a question asked in Chandraloka, who are you? Yata karma, yata vidya, tamagatam prachati, kositi tam pratibhoyat. The resident of Chandraloka will ask, who are you? And when we say we have gained a lot of punya karmas and we are on our way to heaven, then we will be shown the Dhumadi Marga path to further continue. If we say that we are the servant of the Lord and we want to be engaged in His service in the spiritual world, then we will be directed to go further in our Archaradi Marga. But this question that is being asked is not an examination question to let them further travel into the spiritual world, because the Jivatma who surrendered is not under any more further test after he departs his body in this earth. This question is just asked so that they can be directed in a right path. That's all. Then we proceeded our way to get to the tram that takes us to the top of the arch. There, the tour guide was giving the history of this whole construction, the expenses it took, the number of people involved, the architect, and so forth. Quite interestingly, he said that the architect who planned this arch was just 38 years. But he passed away even before the construction started. He didn't even see the base of the arch that was laid for construction. Some of them over there became little emotional hearing this, that the architect did not get a chance to see his brainchild. Anyways, but this whole creation is done by the Lord. After creating, He did not wash off His hands and let us deal after that. He is there with us in each moment, never leaves anything unattended. He did not say, my job is done, I created, you guys deal with it. He is not only the creator, He is the maintainer, and He is the destroyer as well. Everything comes from Him, and everything is sustained by Him, and everything returns back to Him. The Upanishad confirms this. Eto va imani bhutani jayante, ena jatani jivanti, yat prayanti abhisamvishanti. Everything is created by the Supreme Lord. After creation, everything is maintained by Him. And after annihilation, everything is conserved in Him. As we were standing on our respective spot to enter into the tram, the time came, the door opened, and we saw it was a small cabinet, small place where 5 people can sit, and one can choose wherever they want to sit within that given area. After we sat, the door closed and the tram started moving upward. It took close to 4.5 minutes to reach the top, and it took 3 minutes to reach the ground back. 2 things noticed here. Number 1, when we are ready to depart this world, we go to either spiritual world or any other world as per our karma, either to heaven or hell. But when we leave this body, it is not that we are packaged into group of jivatmas and taken. Each one will be taken individually. In the path of Archaradhi Marga, we will be given a royal treatment. We will be respected. We will be admired by the residents of other planetary system on our way. Whereas our way to the heaven, we will be treated well, of course, but then the residents of the heaven will be eagerly waiting for the time to come to push us back into this world, unlike the spiritual world where there's no chance or no one wants us to throw us back into this material world. So the point here is, when we depart, we travel separate. We don't travel with our family members. They don't accompany us because we are treated based on our individual karma. The second point is, when we were going up, it took a longer time, and when we came down, it was 1 minute lesser. So to fall down is very easy. To raise up in our Krishna consciousness, in our spiritual practices, it takes time. It cannot happen overnight. One must have patience. One must have tolerance to gain the mercy of the Lord. Unlike in the tram, which took longer time to reach the top, traveling to the spiritual world is faster. It is faster than our bird brain can ever imagine. As the tram gradually, slowly took us to the top, we were given instruction by the people there that we have 10 minutes to stay there, and we have to return back through the same tram that we came back to the ground. This is exactly what happens when we go to the Swargaloka. We will be there only for some time, and then we will be pushed, sent back into this world. There will be no extension to stay further in the Swargaloka. But if we go to the spiritual world for eternity, we will be there. No one ever will fall down into this world. The 6th observation is quite interesting, that through the small glass windows that were present on the top, we could see many things. We could see things that is of 40 miles away, but it was a different view. When we drove from home to the arch, on our way, we saw many vehicles, cars, truck, and bikes with different shapes, different colors, different make. We also saw many buildings, shops, office buildings, homes, restaurants, theaters, etc. But when we viewed from the top through that small glass window, we were not able to differentiate what building is what and what vehicle is what. We couldn't tell if this is a green color car or a red color car. We couldn't tell if this is a Honda or if this is a Audi. Everything were looking pretty much same. All we could see is they were moving. When we were on the ground, that which showed us the difference between all these different objects, as we went to the top, those differences did not exist, or those differences became very difficult to see. Likewise, as we grow spiritually in our Krishna consciousness, our view towards this world changes. We will not see the differences through one's color, one's caste, one's nation, one's gender, one's education, one's wealth. We don't see this is a male, that is a female, this is a dog, that's a cat. When we say we don't see, not that literally we don't see, but our vision goes beyond those differences to see the Atma which is present inside the body. Because the Atma doesn't have color, doesn't have gender, doesn't have caste. All the Atmas are Jnanamaya. It is of same nature. They are all made of Jnana. In that sense, there is no difference between the Atma that's present in the dog and the Atma that is present in the body of Indra, or even for that matter, the Atma that is present in the body of Brahma. They are all the same. But this knowledge only comes when we raise up in our consciousness. As long as we are on the ground level, that is bodily consciousness, with no spiritual knowledge and no spiritual practices, one will not be able to see the commonality between different entities. One will only see the differences, and these differences will make us want to develop either raga or dvesha, that is attachment or hatred. After we finished our trip to the top, we came down and sat for some time, and something which caught our attention was the pillars, the huge column that was holding the ceiling. These pillars were many in numbers. They were huge in size, and they were constructed in a shape of an inverted triangle, which makes us to easily remember and relate Lord Narasimha. Hiranyakashipu, father of Bhakta Prahlad, pointed a particular pillar and asked his son if your Lord Narayana is present within this pillar. And the response that Prahlad gave to his father is, "My dear father, the Lord is present in all the pillars, not just this pillar." But Hiranya was not happy with that response. He wants to particularly, specifically know if the Lord is present in that particular pillar. The reason he was very choosy is because at the time of construction of this area, his palace, he personally supervisioned that particular pillar. Therefore, he is quite sure that no one entered inside that pillar at the time of construction. Therefore, he wanted to disprove Prahlad's statement that God is present everywhere. That is why he chose that particular pillar. And Bhakta Prahlad would have given a straight answer, yes, the Lord is present here. Rather, he said, the Lord is present in all the pillars and all places, because later the atheistic people may say that the Lord was only present in that particular pillar and he is not present anywhere else. Restricting the Lord could be a reason by some people. Therefore, Prahlad thoughtfully said the Lord is present everywhere. Therefore, he is also present in this pillar that you're pointing, my father. Another beautiful thing to correlate with this pillar is we see the pillar supports the ceiling. If the pillar is not there, the ceiling will fall off. But when it comes to the Lord, that is not the way that Lord supports or carries the universe. Let's understand this. The pillar is visible. We can see the pillar is holding the ceiling. It is drishtam. We can see it. But the Lord carrying the entire universe is not visible. It is adrishtam, that which cannot be seen with our physical eyes. The second difference is the connection between a particular pillar and the ceiling is only to that part or that portion where it stands, nowhere else. A pillar A is supporting a portion of its ceiling. It doesn't support the other side of the ceiling. There will be another pillar which supports the other side of the ceiling. But when it comes to the Lord, it is not just to that part he holds, but he holds as a single entity entire universe, every creation. There is no second pillar. There is only one pillar, and that is the supreme absolute truth, Krishna. Each and every pillar are identical. They are made of same material. They have same strength. Therefore, they are all equal. When it comes to the Lord, there is no second Lord who holds another universe. There are hundreds and thousands and millions of universes. All those things are held by one pillar, by one Lord, which tells there is no one equal to him and no one greater to him. Mataha parataram na anyate kinchit asti dhananjaya. Krishna says this in the 7th chapter, 7th verse. Mai sarvamidam protam sutre manigana iva. Everything rests upon me as pearls are strung on a thread. The third difference between the pillar and ceiling and the Lord and this universe is another interesting thing. The relationship and the connection between the pillar and ceiling are seen clearly. There is a touch between the pillar and the ceiling. Whereas the connection between Lord and this universe is not seen, but it exists. Another point is the pillar has no power to execute orders, to control the ceiling. The pillar cannot enter the ceiling. But when it comes to the Lord, he not only holds the entire universe, he also has a complete control of this universe. Not only having the complete control of the universe, he also enters into each and every universe, which pillar does not do. Then after that, we were just walking around, exploring the shops over there, the museum and other places, and we noticed a couple, husband and wife, walking towards the gift shop, and the father was carrying the newly born baby in a car seat, and mother was walking side by. An interesting thought came in mind as we saw this one, that mother carries the child within her womb for 9-10 months. after birth, it is the father who carries the child. So, giving birth is done by mother and carrying of child is done by the father. When it comes to Krishna, he does both the jobs himself. He has not appointed a second person. He gives birth to all the living entities, whether it is living entities or non-living entities. Everything comes from him. After everything comes from him, he is the one who carries everything. There is no second person who does that job. It is one and the same Lord does both part what a mother and father does in this world. Usually we think that the mother carries the baby and the mother is carried by the place where she stays, maybe a house, the floor, and the floor is carried by the foundation, and the foundation is carried by earth, and the earth is carried by Akasha, and the Akasha is carried by the Lord. But this is not the right understanding. The right understanding is the baby within the womb of the mother is carried by the Lord. The mother who has the child in her womb is carried by the Lord. The floor which carries the mother is carried by the Lord. The foundation which holds the floor is carried by the Lord. The earth which holds the foundation is carried by the Lord. And the Akasha which holds the earth is carried by the Lord. Which means at every juncture, every point, it is the Lord who carries us. It is the Lord who maintains us. Unlike how we see in this world that mother gives birth and the father carries baby. After we are done with this, we were driving back home. On the way, the kids were amazed. They were talking about how the construction was done. As they saw the documentary movie, they were appreciating how many people were involved, how nicely it was designed and planned. Yes, it is true that it's a great work, but nothing compared to what the Lord has done. Nothing could amaze us in this world, even the 7 wonders or anything for that matter, compared to the creation of the Lord. The entire universes were single-handedly created by the Lord just by His Sankalpa. There is no flaw in His creation. If we just study the scriptures and contemplate on them, we will certainly not be amazed of anything in this world. Nothing can come even little close to the creation of the Lord. Thank you for listening. Hopefully, your next visit to St. Louis Arch is enriched. Hare Krishna.